Some roads hold secrets, secrets that are buried deep within the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. These roads are often avoided, whispered about in hushed tones, and remembered in the chilling tales told around campfires. They are the paths less traveled, the ones that send shivers down your spine, even in the brightest daylight. And Claire found one on a winter's night. It was a night like any other, or so she thought. The snow fell gently, blanketing the world in a serene white. But beneath that calm exterior, something sinister lurked, waiting for an unsuspecting traveler to cross its path. Late one winter evening, Claire was driving home through the woods. The trees stood tall and silent, their branches heavy with snow. The road ahead seemed endless, a winding path through the heart of the forest. Claire's mind wandered as she drove, thinking about the warmth of her home and the comfort of a hot drink waiting for her. The roads were slick with ice and darkness swallowed the world whole. The only light came from her car's headlights, which struggled to pierce the thick veil of night. The tires crunched over the icy surface, and Claire gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles white with tension. Her headlights barely cut through the thick fog. It was as if the forest itself was trying to keep her from seeing what lay ahead. The fog swirled around her car, creating eerie shapes that seemed to dance in the periphery of her vision. She felt a growing unease, a sense that she was not alone. Something felt different. The air was colder than it should have been, and the silence was oppressive. It was the kind of silence that made your ears ring, the kind that made you hyper-aware of every little sound. Claire's breath fogged up the windshield, and she wiped it away with a trembling hand. The air was colder. The shadows between the trees seemed to move. They twisted and writhed as if alive, and Claire couldn't shake the feeling that they were watching her. She glanced at the clock on the dashboard. It was later than she thought. She needed to get home, and fast. Suddenly, her headlights caught a figure, a woman in white, standing by the road like a ghostly statue. The woman was still, her dress billowing in the wind, her face obscured by a veil of mist. Claire's heart skipped a beat. Who could be out here in the middle of nowhere? On a night like this, Claire's heart skipped a beat. She had heard stories about the woman in white, tales of a ghostly figure that haunted these woods, but she had never believed them until now. She slowed the car. The woman didn't move. She just stood there, staring at Claire with an intensity that made her skin crawl. Claire's mind raced. Should she stop? Should she drive past and pretend she hadn't seen anything? But something compelled her to stop, to find out who this woman was and why she was here. Curiosity won over fear. Claire rolled down her window and called out, "Are you okay?" Her voice sounded small and uncertain in the vastness of the night. She waited, her breath visible in the cold air, but there was no response, no response. The woman remained silent, her eyes fixed on Claire. There was something unsettling about those eyes, something that made Claire's heart race even faster. The woman turned her head, revealing hollow eyes that pierced through Claire. They were empty, devoid of life, yet they seemed to see right through her. Claire felt a chill run down her spine, and she knew she had to get out of there. A shiver ran down Claire's spine. She wanted to look away, but she couldn't. She was trapped in the woman's gaze, unable to move, unable to think. Before she could react, the woman glided toward the car with unnatural speed. It was as if she was floating, her feet never touching the ground. Claire floored it, panic flooding her veins. She had to get away, had to escape this nightmare. The car's engine roared to life and she sped down the road, her heart pounding in her chest. Claire floored it, panic flooding her veins. The car skidded on the icy road, but she didn't care. She had to get away from that woman, had to put as much distance between them as possible. In the rearview mirror, nothing but fog. The woman was gone, vanished into the night. Claire's hands shook as she gripped the steering wheel, her mind racing with questions. Who was that woman? What did she want? And why did she feel like she was being watched? Relief washed over her, until she heard a faint tapping on glass. It was a soft, almost gentle sound, but it sent a jolt of fear through her. She turned her head slowly, dreading what she might see. Turning her head slowly, she saw the woman in the passenger seat, eyes gleaming. The woman's face was inches from hers, and Claire could see every detail. The pale skin, the hollow eyes, the thin, bloodless lips. She was more terrifying up close, and Claire felt a scream rising in her throat. "You shouldn't have stopped," the woman whispered. Her voice was cold and hollow, like the wind through the trees. Claire's blood ran cold. She knew she had made a terrible mistake. The car swerved, crashing into a tree. The impact was sudden and violent, and Claire's world exploded into a blur of pain and darkness. Claire's vision blurred, and everything went black. She felt herself slipping away, the world fading into nothingness. Her last thought was of the woman's eyes staring at her with that terrible empty gaze. When paramedics arrived, Claire was gone. They found the car, crumpled and broken, but there was no sign of her. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Only a single footprint remained, frozen in the snow. It was small and delicate like a woman's, and it led away from the car, deeper into the forest. No one drives that road after dark anymore. The locals know better. They tell stories of the woman in white, of her haunting presence, and the fate that awaits those who cross her path. Those who do often see her, waiting. She stands by the road, her white dress billowing in the wind, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She is a warning, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows. Beware the woman in white. She is always watching, always waiting. And if you see her, remember Claire's story. Remember the terror that awaits those who dare to stop. For some roads hold secrets, and some secrets are best left undisturbed.